I was 17 when I first learned that in my family, pain was inherited like furniture, passed down, polished over, then used again. My name is Darla. I grew up in a house where silence was currency, cruelty was routine, and my mother, Patricia, made it clear every single day. I wasn't the daughter she wanted. But the golden one, the girl who could do no wrong, was my older sister, Aspen. Aspen with her fake laughter and polished nails. Aspen who got everything from a car at 16 to a standing ovation for simply existing. Aspen who hated me not because I did anything wrong, but because I dared to be born. Still, I kept my head down. I worked 2 jobs in high school, cleaned the house like a maid, and took care of our alcoholic father when no one else would. I never asked for anything. Until one night. One moment. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. It was 3 weeks before my high school graduation. I had just gotten back from a double shift at the local diner. My body ached, my feet were raw, and my eyes could barely stay open. Aspen was in the kitchen, leaning against the counter in one of her silk robes, sipping wine she wasn't old enough to legally drink. I reached for the kettle, just trying to make some instant noodles, and she smirked. "Oh, look at you. House rat's home." I didn't reply. I didn't have the energy, but apparently my silence offended her. She stepped closer and said, "You know what I think? I think you enjoy this, being beneath us, cleaning up. It's all you'll ever be good for." I turned to walk away. That's when she grabbed the kettle. Still boiling, hissing. She didn't even blink. "Oops," she said as she tilted it. Scalding water splashed down my right arm. I screamed, dropped to the floor, skin blistering instantly. The pain was blinding, searing, endless. I cried for help. Patricia walked in, took one look at me on the ground and scoffed. "That's what happens when garbage thinks it's equal to family." Then she turned around and walked out. I was left crawling, half-conscious, my skin peeling and screaming, while Aspen lit a candle and turned up the TV like nothing had happened. No ambulance, no hospital, no help. I wrapped my own arm with a bedsheet soaked in ice water. I couldn't afford to go to the ER without insurance, and I sure as hell couldn't tell the school. If I missed graduation, my job offer at the bakery across town would vanish. So I hid it. I wore long sleeves. I smiled through the agony. But inside, something ruptured. Not the kind of break that heals. The kind that transforms. I didn't cry again. Not for that. Not for them. But I started watching. Listening. Learning. They thought I was weak, useless, disposable. And that was their first mistake. Because by the time my arm stopped burning, I had already decided I would ruin them. Not with fists, not with screams, but with something worse. Truth wrapped in silence, power wrapped in timing. And a smile they'd never see coming. It took a month for the skin on my arm to stop weeping, even longer for the nerves to settle into that strange, dull scream that never really faded. I wore long sleeves through summer, even in the kitchen heat of the bakery where I'd finally started work. People noticed. Of course they did. They asked what happened. "Oh, hot tea accident," I'd smile. Because in my world, silence wasn't fear. It was fuel. While Aspen posted selfies from her modeling gigs and Patricia paraded her around like royalty, I was dragging bags of flour at 6 a.m., cleaning the bathrooms before the bakery opened, and saving every cent in a red envelope under my mattress. I lived on toast, leftover pastries, and hand-me-downs I tailored with safety pins. They thought I was invisible. They never asked about me again. Good. That was how I wanted it. Because I was watching them. Closely. Aspen's influencer career wasn't real. She was photoshopping fake brand deals and renting designer clothes she never returned. Patricia had quietly defaulted on 2 credit cards and was using Aspen's fake popularity to get cozy with men in her church group with money and connections. My father? He was drinking himself into debt and denial in the basement, sometimes asking if I was the neighbor girl. By the end of the year, they were in deeper trouble than I ever could have dreamed. And I was done dreaming. I was planning. It started with one quiet phone call. Aspen had used my name and social security number years ago. She'd stolen it off a school form and taken out a small online loan. I found it when I was applying for a real bank account and nearly passed out from the rage. But I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I took it as a gift. I called the lender, explained the fraud, gave them screenshots of Aspen's profile where she posted, "Treating myself with your money, thanks sis, 2 years ago." The investigation began, and with it her name was flagged, her bank accounts too. Then I applied for a scholarship to a community business course, got in, quietly. I learned how LLCs worked, how debt collection companies operated, how people buy bad debt cheap, then legally chase it down. By spring, I had built a tiny but legal company, Ember Collection Group. And the first portfolio of debt I bought? Patricia's. $14,000 worth of unpaid bills from her designer obsession, church credit lines, and Aspen's spa treatments. Pennies on the dollar, a joke in the collector world. To me, it was poetry. I didn't even try to collect immediately. I just sat on it, let it mature, let the interest balloon. I wanted it to hurt. While they scrambled, I started moving. I got a raise at the bakery, got offered a full-time role running the books. They saw something in me, something my family never bothered to look for. But my favorite part? One random Tuesday night, Patricia called me. Not to apologize, not even to ask how I was. She wanted me to co-sign Aspen's apartment lease, said I owed it to them. After all they did to raise me. I paused, let her words hang like mold in the air. Then I said, "You raised a snake and burned a child. I'll help, but you won't like how." I hung up. A week later, I sent them a letter, handwritten. Effective April 5th, the debt formerly owned by Newbridge Financial has been transferred to Ember Collection Group. You now owe me. Inside the envelope? A photocopy of the burnt skin on my arm from the night of the incident. No signature, just a sticky note. Oops, accidents happen. The next day, I changed my phone number. I didn't need to hear their screams. By summer, Aspen's influencer accounts had gone dark. Turns out when creditors freeze your funds and seize your belongings, you can't really afford to pose with rented handbags anymore. I watched as her Instagram stories faded into awkward silence. I didn't gloat. I didn't comment. I just kept collecting. She tried to pivot, claimed someone hacked her financials, but the truth bled through her flawless filters. Her landlord kicked her out for non-payment. Patricia begged friends at church for a loan. And my father? He vanished into his bottle. And me? I was thriving. The bakery owners offered me a small percentage stake in the business, said they'd never seen someone so sharp with numbers and dough. I smiled, thanked them, then walked home to my tiny studio apartment, turned on the fan, and rested my arm on the cool windowsill. The burn had faded into a long, ugly scar, but I wasn't ashamed of it anymore. It was a brand, a memory, a warning. And it was time they felt it too. One Sunday, I walked back into my childhood home, not as a daughter, but as a creditor. I was wearing the same color dress I wore the day Aspen dumped boiling water on my arm. Only this time, I didn't flinch when she opened the door. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. She looked wrecked, hair stringy, lips chewed raw. You, she spat. You did this. You ruined everything. I tilted my head. No, you poured boiling water on me. Your mother laughed, and you thought I'd vanish. Patricia limped into the hallway, clutching a robe. Her eyes were wide, like a preacher caught stealing from the offering plate. You want money? She hissed. Fine, take it. You're a leech just like we always said. I pulled out 2 documents. The first, a legal forfeiture of the small property they inherited from my grandmother. I had acquired the unpaid liens and claimed the deed through foreclosure. It wasn't worth much, but it was theirs. Now it was mine. The second, a notarized letter informing them that I had redirected all their future garnished wages to fund a scholarship under my name for young women estranged from abusive families. Patricia's hand shook as she read it. Huh, I raised you, she screamed. I fed you. I wiped your nose. No, I whispered. You laughed when I screamed. You called me garbage, and now you can rot in the landfill you built. Aspen lunged forward, but I held up my phone and pressed play. It was the old recording, the one I had saved from the night she burned me, the one where she giggled. Oops, accidents happen, while my skin sizzled. The one where my mother barked, that's what trash gets for trying to act like family. Her face paled. She didn't know I'd recorded it. I leaned in. This isn't for court. It's for you. To play on loop every night while you lie awake wondering what you became. Then I walked out. I didn't look back. I went straight to the bakery and handed the documents to Mrs. Callahan, my boss, my mentor, the only woman who ever once told me I was smart and kind. She hugged me, asked nothing, and later that week she helped me hang a sign on our window. Ember Girls Scholarship Fund in honor of survival. Months passed. I didn't hear from Aspen or Patricia again, but I saw Aspen in a grocery store once, trying to sweet-talk a manager into waiving a bounced check fee. She didn't see me. Or maybe she did, and just couldn't look me in the eye. I went home to my apartment, curled up on the couch, and stared at my arm. That burn, once raw and screaming, now faint and faded. Ugly, yes, but it no longer owned me. It reminded me that no one gets to pour pain on me and laugh, because I'll collect it, build with it, rise with it, and one day hand it back, carefully, calculated, and cold. That was my revenge. Not to destroy them, but to prove I was never what they said.